Hey guys, this is a 2007 Mercedes S550 that I bought at auction. I bought it damaged with the front fender and door kind of messed up. There was some suspension work too, but I'm going to focus on the body work. I hate doing body work, so I bought some used panels, the fender and the door. They're painted in the same body color and they're in much better shape than the ones I got. But I couldn't find any sort of a video on replacing the internals of the door on YouTube. So I thought I would record this just so I'd know how to put it back together and then publish it just to possibly help out somebody else. The door came without any internals, it was just the shell and the trim. So everything had to be transferred over. So the first step is taking off the door panel, and there's only 2 bolts holding it on, and it's really easy. There's 3 connectors plus the rear view mirror, and here I'm taking out the glass, and I'm rolling the window up so I can access the bolts. You can only see them through little holes. There's 2 bolts. Super easy. Popped out the glass just now. And working on the rearview mirror though. So every single thing had to be stripped out of here, and I didn't really know how to do it. I was looking around for some sort of a connector and I couldn't find one. So I had to fish the wires through that little hole. And that panel is riveted on with 1/4-inch rivets. I had to drill them all out. And I drilled them out with a wide step drill just so I could knock the head off. And I left the back inside of there. I'll deal with those later. So I unplugged everything, and I took that little control board out, but in hindsight I did not have to do that. I could have left everything plugged in, with the exception of the rearview mirror and the stuff out of the harness, but I didn't know. And I couldn't get that panel off. It turns out that panel is connected to everything. So the door latch, everything that connects to the outside handle, the outside handle came off on its own, and then basically that whole panel slid out with everything attached. See, the door's pretty clean right now. So I slid the wires back through the hole and undid the hinges. Luckily the hinges are 2-piece, so I was able to separate them, and the new door dropped right in place. I didn't have to make a single adjustment, which is awesome. I hate adjusting doors. So there I am cleaning up the old door, blowing it out, getting all the rivet parts out of it. And here goes the panel. This is everything attached with the panel, one shot. And this is where I'm kicking myself for unplugging everything. So screwing in the door latch, and using my big old giant rivet gun to drive in those rivets. There's a lot of rivets too. I went through. It's a new rivet gun, and I went through the entire bag of rivets that came with it. And luckily, I bought a box of backups. I had like 100 backups, so I think there was something like 20 rivets, which is crazy overkill for a door panel, but that's fine. It's a solid car. Seems like I'm riveting forever. But there I go, plugging everything back in. There were a lot of connectors. Luckily, they only went in one way. Some of them piggybacked off of others, but all the connectors have a unique shape to them, so you can't screw it up. And it was actually fairly easy to put all the connectors back together. I had to fiddle with the outside door latch because there's a bolt holding it in that you access from a little plug on the side of the door. If you screw that thing in too tight, the door handle, when you pull it out, it stays out. And I didn't know that, so I backed it out and put it in a little loose and lubed it up as best I could just to make it function right. There we go with the door panel. And I just put on the trim piece, it just snaps in, no hardware. And I had to make sure I lined up all of the little plastic clips because I didn't want to break one. There was one missing, but it was up really high in the door, so it didn't matter that much. It's okay if it's missing. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, this part's a little fiddly. It's got to lock into two places at once, and if you don't get it right on the first shot, then take it off and try again. There's the tweeter. Just snaps in. Testing all the parts. Good to go. So that door looks beautiful. Now the fender. And the fender actually surprised me. The fender's just held on with 10mm bolts, but that wheel liner was held on with a lot of hardware. And once I got it out, there was a sensor. I think that's the sensor to receive the TPMS stuff. But it was actually connected to the plastic with really small wires, so I had to be real careful that I didn't give it a yank or anything. I'm not quite sure how to reconnect that, and I could imagine that it's going to be really expensive to put that back together. So I have to take off the rocker panel down there because two of the bolts are hiding under it. And that was that. There's a little clip to hold the bumper on, and the clip's really well designed. It's only on there with one bolt, and it slides in there to sandwich those two pieces together. So alignment I didn't even have to worry about alignment. It only went in one way, and that was aligned. The two bolts in the back by the door, I had to push by hand just to make sure that they aligned with the door, and that was pretty easy. There I am putting back the wheel liner with all of the various hardware. So much hardware. And making sure everything lines up straight. It's in two parts, so one overlaps the other. And the bottoms have a lot of overlapping parts as well. There we go. Put it on with the impact and put some wood under it just so I can get the jack under. And torque them up. There she is. It came out great.